3 in the morning. The power's been out for 11 days. You hear it. Not thunder, not wind. A slow, deliberate creak on your front porch. Then another. Then the unmistakable sound of someone testing your door handle. Your family is asleep upstairs. Your phone is a dead rectangle of glass. There are no cops coming, no alarm company dispatching anyone, no neighbors peeking through blinds because their blinds are nailed shut too. It's just you, whatever is between that door and whoever's on the other side of it, and about 4 seconds to figure out if you're a victim or a problem they didn't plan for. Now here's what most people get catastrophically wrong. They think home defense means firepower, a shotgun by the bed, maybe a handgun in the nightstand, and that's the plan. That's not a plan. That's a last resort dressed up as a strategy. Because if someone is already inside your house at 3 in the morning, you've already lost about 6 fights you didn't even know you were in. Your real front line was never a trigger. It was your front door, your windows, your yard, the way your house looks from the street at 2 a.m., and almost none of it is ready. But that changes tonight. We're going to turn your house from the easiest target on the block into the one place nobody wants to test, layer by layer, room by room. And somewhere toward the end, I'm going to show you a trick that costs literally nothing, takes 5 minutes, and according to people who've actually survived grid-down neighborhoods, works better than a $1,000 security system ever did. Let's start where every break-in starts, your front door, the thing you trust your life to every single night. Go look at it right now. Seriously. The frame, the hinges, the strike plate. You see those little screws holding the strike plate in? Those are 3/4-inch screws. They don't bite into the stud behind the frame. They grip about a 1/2 inch of soft pine trim. That's it. 150 pounds of solid core door, a deadbolt you paid good money for, and the whole thing is anchored by screws the length of a thumbtack. One solid kick, about 80 pounds of force, that's all it takes, and your door frame splinters like balsa wood. The deadbolt doesn't fail, the wood around it does. 80% of forced entries come through the front door, and this is why. It's not that locks are weak, it's that the thing holding the lock is a joke. The fix takes 11 minutes and costs less than a fast food meal. 3-inch steel screws. Replace every screw on your strike plate, every screw on your hinges, top and bottom. Those 3-inch screws bite through the trim, through the jack stud, into the king stud behind it. You just went from 1/2 inch of grip to 3 inches of structural lumber. 1 kick won't do it. 5 kicks probably won't do it. And in a crisis, every second someone spends kicking your door is a second they're exposed, making noise, reconsidering. Most opportunistic intruders give up after 15 to 20 seconds of resistance. That's not my opinion. That's data from pre-collapse crime studies. Imagine what it looks like when there's no cavalry coming, and every second of noise could attract someone worse than them. Now add a door reinforcement kit, a steel plate that wraps around the frame where the deadbolt sits. $20 online, maybe 30. Combined with those screws, your door now takes roughly 10 times the force to breach. You just made the easiest entry point into the hardest one, for the cost of a pizza. But doors aren't the only way in. Windows, the fishbowl problem. Glass is psychologically comforting and structurally pathetic. A standard residential window shatters with about 5 pounds of focused impact. 5. A rock the size of a golf ball thrown by a 12-year-old and your perimeter is breached. During the 2020 unrest in Minneapolis, over 60% of looted businesses were entered through plate glass that people assumed was some kind of barrier. It wasn't. It was a suggestion. Now, you're not boarding up your windows on day one. That screams something valuable in here. And in a prolonged crisis, that's a billboard. What you want is security window film. It's a thick, transparent polyester layer that adheres to the inside of the glass. The window still breaks, but it doesn't shatter apart. It spiderwebs and holds in place like a stubborn membrane. It buys you 60 to 90 seconds. That doesn't sound like much until you realize that 60 seconds is an eternity when someone is standing outside, exposed, trying to claw through a window that won't cooperate. I've tested cheaper brands, and honestly, they peel. Spend the extra $20 on the 8mm or thicker stuff. It's worth it. And here's something most home defense content glosses right over: visibility. If someone can see inside your home, they can inventory everything you have before they ever touch your door. Candles, lanterns, stockpiled food on shelves, people moving around. In a grid-down scenario, light is intelligence. Your light is their recon. Blackout curtains aren't a luxury item. They're operational security. Thick, dark fabric over every window that faces a street or a neighbor's sightline. If they can't see what you have, they can't decide you're worth the risk. Now let's talk about the perimeter, the ground between the street and your walls. This is your early warning system and your first psychological barrier, and almost nobody thinks about it. Gravel, specifically loose pea gravel or crushed stone along pathways and under windows. You cannot walk on gravel quietly. It's physically impossible. Every step crunches. At 2 in the morning, in dead silence, gravel sounds like a gunshot. It's a low-tech motion sensor that never needs batteries, never loses Wi-Fi, never sends you a false alarm because a cat walked by. Well, okay, maybe the cat thing still happens. They're not apps that need internet. They're physics. Mass, gravity, and the undeniable reality that surprise is a defender's best weapon. When an intruder triggers a noise they didn't expect, their adrenaline spikes, their plan fractures, and they freeze for 1 to 3 seconds. In those seconds, you're awake, you're moving, you're heading to that safe room. The Vietnam-era military called them early warning devices. I just call them cans on strings. Same concept. I've set them up in my own hallway during a bad storm that knocked power out for 4 days. Never needed them. Slept better anyway. And here's the deeper science behind all of this. The reason this layered approach actually works. It's called crime prevention through environmental design, CPTED. Researchers have studied this since the 1970s. The core finding is almost stupidly simple. The physical environment shapes behavior more than personality does. A well-lit path with clear sightlines and visible signs of occupancy reduces crime by up to 60% compared to an identical area that's dark, cluttered, and appears unmonitored. It's not about catching criminals, it's about making the environment so obviously inconvenient that the decision to commit the crime never fully forms. Your gravel, your thorns, your reinforced door, your blackout curtains, your noise traps, they're not individual tricks, they're a system. Each layer doesn't just add difficulty, it multiplies doubt. And doubt is the thing that makes someone turn around and walk away. One more thing, and I don't hear anyone talking about this enough: community. In a real, sustained crisis, a single fortified house is still just a single house. But 4 or 5 houses on a block, with people who know each other, who've agreed on signals, who take turns keeping watch, that's a different animal entirely. During the aftermath of Katrina, neighborhoods that self-organized into watch groups saw dramatically less looting than isolated households just 2 streets over. Humans survived ice ages, famines, and wars not because any one person was a fortress, because groups are harder to prey on than individuals. If you've got neighbors you trust, even a little, start that conversation now, before you need it. Because after the crisis starts, trust is the one thing you can't buy, build, or improvise. Actually, I'm curious. Drop a comment if you've ever had a moment, a power outage, a storm, a close call, where you suddenly realized your home wasn't as secure as you thought. I want to hear what that moment was, what you changed after. So let's go back to where we started. 3 in the morning, footsteps on your porch. The handle turns, but this time the deadbolt holds. Because behind it are 3-inch screws biting into solid lumber and a steel reinforcement plate. The intruder kicks, once, twice. The frame groans but doesn't give. Outside, the gravel crunched under their feet 30 seconds ago, and you were already awake. Your family is already in the safe room. The cans on the hallway string are untouched because nobody made it that far. After 30 seconds of a door that won't budge and a house that clearly knew they were coming, the porch goes quiet. Footsteps retreating. Moving on. Looking for somewhere easier. You didn't fire a shot. You didn't throw a punch. You spent maybe $200 total and a Saturday afternoon. And tonight, you were the house that wasn't worth the trouble. That's not luck. That's preparation wearing the disguise of an ordinary home. You don't rise to the level of the crisis. You fall to the level of what you built before it started. Build it now. And if this is the kind of knowledge you want in your back pocket before the world decides to test you, subscribe, because the next one might be the one you wish you'd seen sooner.